Others cultivate to pursue immortality. I cultivate merely to find peace in my twilight years. The difficulty lies in the fact that having just ascended to the Immortal Realm, I discovered that this place is filled with old acquaintances. The Sovereign of the Skies is a pet I released years ago. The Heavenly Emperor is my former nominal disciple. I originally intended to conceal my identity and live as a lowly servant, but the newly arrived senior brother pointed at my nose and berated me as a piece of trash. My name is Shen Fuye, and my original intention for cultivating was simple. I merely wished to find a place of tranquil waters and gentle breezes, to live in peace until the world turns to dust. When others undergo tribulation, they face life and death. When I underwent mine, I casually saved a small flying serpent that was struck nearly to death by lightning. When others ascend, the world celebrates. When I ascended, I happened upon a few of my nominal disciples who wept bitterly, begging to take me as their master. Finding them troublesome, I tossed a jade pendant at them to drive them away, and then I ascended. The spiritual energy of the Immortal Realm is indeed rich, but it is far from peaceful. The moment I arrived, I was swept into the aftermath of a great war between immortals and demons. My cultivation base fell to the bottom of the abyss, leaving me a common loose immortal, nothing out of the ordinary. To earn my keep, I entered the Qinglan sect, a mediocre sect in the Immortal Realm, as a mere servant. I had assumed that my days would pass by in such quiet seclusion, until the newly arrived inner disciple, Lu Shuyuan, arrived with a menacing expression and kicked open my door. His eyes were filled with disdain as he pointed to the waste bucket in the corner, his voice ice cold. "Are you blind, you piece of trash? This thing is overflowing, and you still haven't emptied it?" The straw mat I was weaving fell to the ground. I have been in the Immortal Realm for 300 years, sweeping floors for 300 years. For 300 years, I have been gathering firewood, yet this is the first time someone has pointed at my nose and called me trash. I looked up at his young, arrogant face and calmly asked, "Are you addressing me?" Lu Shuyuan sneered as if he had just heard the most ridiculous thing in the world. "Other than you, is there a second piece of trash here?" The lackeys behind him burst into laughter. I felt no anger, only a sense of mild amusement. To think that back in those days the demon sovereign, who killed without hesitation, had to obediently curl into a ball in my presence. Even the supreme heavenly emperor on his high throne must respectfully call me master. And yet, his disciple's disciple's disciple, I know not which generation of grand disciple this is, dares to order me to empty a waste bucket. I let out a soft sigh, and slowly retrieved a piece of warm jade from my robe. The jade was engraved with auspicious cloud patterns with a minuscule character for Jing at its center. Years ago, when Yunjing pestered me incessantly, I had carelessly carved it for him from a scrap of waste stone. I held the jade out before Lu Shuyuan. My tone was indifferent as I spoke. "Do you know that the master you speak of with such reverence once had to address me as his own teacher?" Lu Xuan's laughter cut off abruptly. He stared at the jade in my hand, his complexion instantly turning deathly pale. This jade was the supreme treasure of the Qinglan sect, a token passed down by the sect founder himself, and he who held it was as if the heavenly emperor had manifested before them. The entourage behind him trembled so violently that their legs gave way, and they collapsed to the ground in unison. Lu Xuan's lips quivered, his eyes brimming with horror and utter disbelief. Who exactly are you?" I withdrew the jade, settled back into my small wooden chair, and picked up the half-woven straw mat. "Just a worthless servant who empties the chamber pots." Lu Shuyuan's face fluctuated between shades of pale and green. He gritted his teeth, a flicker of malice igniting in his eyes. "It's a fake. This thing is absolutely a fake. You are nothing but a common servant. How could you possibly possess the token of the Heavenly Emperor? You must have stolen it." No sooner had he finished speaking than he lunged forward to seize it. I flicked my wrist, evading him with ease. Having missed his mark, he turned shameful rage into a murderous impulse and began channeling his immortal energy, the audacious fool. "Damnation," he struck out at me with his palm. The palm wind was razor-sharp and carried a killing intent. I furrowed my brows. It seems this life of quiet retirement was never destined to remain peaceful. I did not move, allowing the force of his blow to approach. Just as it was about to graze my face, a surge of overwhelming immortal energy swept across the space. It shattered Lu Shuyuan's attack instantly. "Stop!" A cold, sharp voice rang out, and a woman dressed in robes as white as snow descended between us. Her brows were as if painted, and her aura was ethereal. It was Lu Ningqiang, the senior martial sister of the Qinglan sect, and the very woman Lu Shuyuan was enamored with. Lu Ningqiang did not even spare me a glance, walking directly to Lu Shuyuan's side. "Junior brother Shuyuan, are you unharmed?" Lu Tuiyuan looked at her as if he had found his pillar of support, and immediately played the villain by lodging a false complaint first. "Senior sister, this menial servant stole the sect's holy artifact. I caught him and he still dares to deny it. I was just about to apprehend him." Lu Ningqiang finally shifted her gaze toward me, her eyes as cold as ice. "Hand it over," she commanded, and I opened my hand. The jade pendant lay silently in my palm. Lu Ningqiang's pupils constricted, yet she quickly composed herself and sneered. "So it truly is this item. Your courage is indeed immense. To think you would dare steal even the founder's heirloom. I am but a menial servant, how could I possibly steal it? Still daring to deny it? Senior sister, do not waste words with him. Take him directly to the discipline hall." Lu Tu fanned the flames from the side, and Lu Ningqiang nodded in agreement. "A menial servant with unclean hands like you deserve to have your cultivation crippled and be expelled from the sect." As soon as she finished speaking, her wrist flickered, and a white silk ribbon like a celestial shroud coiled toward me. This was her Dharma treasure, the heaven-binding veil. I let out a sigh, preparing to use a fragment of the power I had long kept dormant, when a commotion suddenly erupted outside the courtyard. Elder Qingxuan had arrived. The crowd parted to create a path as an old man with white hair and a grave expression stepped forward. He was the discipline elder of the Qinglan sect, Qingxuan. Elder Qingxuan's gaze was sharp as lightning. He surveyed the area and asked, "What is the meaning of this?" Lu Ningqiang immediately retracted the heaven-binding veil and bowed respectfully. "Greetings, elder." This disciple discovered that this menial servant stole the sect's holy artifact, and was in the process of apprehending him. As she spoke, she pointed to the jade pendant in my hand. Elder Qingshuan's gaze fell upon the jade pendant and his expression instantly turned grave. He stepped forward, staring intently at the pendant, his breathing becoming ragged. Lu Tuan and Lu Ningxuang exchanged glances, both seeing the triumph in each other's eyes. They assumed that Elder Qingshuan intended to punish me himself. Elder Qingshuan reached out a trembling hand, seemingly wanting. He suddenly raised his head, his voice raspy as he asked, "Then where did you acquire this?" "A brat named Yunjing gave it to me." "You insolent wretch, the name of the Heavenly Emperor is not something a low-born servant like you can utter so casually." Note, the numbering in the input had a slight misalignment. Continuing from the context of line 2, a formidable pressure erupted from his body. The air in the room seemed to solidify while the smiles of Lu Tuan and Lu Ningxuan only deepened. I felt a sense of helplessness. Why is communicating with these juniors so exhausting? Elder Qingshuan glared at me in fury, enunciating each word as he condemned me for speaking the Heavenly Emperor's name. "Where are the guards? Seize him for me. Hold him until we can deal with him." Two disciples from the enforcement department immediately stepped forward, pinning my arms from the left and right. I did not resist, for I could sense an aura at once familiar and potent, rapidly approaching the Qinglan sect. It seems my nominal disciple is about to arrive. The water dungeon was dark and damp. A bone-chilling cold crawled up from my ankles. Bound by 2 iron chains etched with suppression runes, I was shackled to the cliff wall, submerged in icy water up to my waist. However, these little tricks were nothing more than child's play to me. They were, in fact, rather tedious. Lu Tuan and Lu Ningxuan stood outside the water dungeon, looking at me with expressions of pure satisfaction. "You trash, do you finally understand the consequences of offending me? Once the elder finishes his interrogation, you will face bitter retribution," Lu Tuyuan declared with triumph. Lu Ningxuan curled her lips in a faint sneer. "Junior brother Tuyuan, why waste words on someone who is as good as dead? Let us go and prepare to welcome the imperial procession of the Heavenly Emperor." Right, indeed. The Heavenly Emperor is gracing the Qinglan sect with his presence today. What an immense honor this is. Who knows, perhaps His Majesty might even notice us. They walked away, speaking with faces filled with anticipation. "The Heavenly Emperor is coming, that disciple of mine. Ah Feng, you have grown up indeed." I closed my eyes and began to doze off. I do not know how much time passed before hurried footsteps approached from the distance. Elder Qingshuan appeared outside the water dungeon with a grave expression. He opened the cell door and personally unlocked my shackles. "Follow me." His tone remained unfriendly, yet there was a flicker of complexity in his eyes. I followed him out of the water dungeon to the main plaza of the Qinglan sect. At this moment, the plaza was packed with Qinglan sect disciples, all standing in solemn silence, gazing up at the sky. Lu Tuiwan and Lu Ningcheng stood in the front row, their postures rigid, their faces filled with agitation. In the sky, auspicious clouds gathered and 10,000 rays of golden light descended as a magnificent carriage, drawn by 9 golden dragons, slowly lowered. Surrounding the carriage were celestial maidens. Celestial soldiers paved the way with extraordinary grandeur. A woman clad in a golden imperial robe, possessing beauty without a single flaw, stepped down from the carriage wearing an imperial crown. Her gaze was majestic. The powerful aura radiating from her body made it impossible for anyone to look her in the eye. It was the ruler of the Immortal Realm, His Majesty the Heavenly Emperor. All the Qinglan sect disciples knelt in unison, shouting praises. I alone remained standing where I was. Immediately, I became the center of attention for the entire assembly. When Tuiwan turned back and saw me, he flew into a rage and shouted, "How bold! When you see the Heavenly Emperor, why do you not kneel? Disrespect toward the Heavenly Emperor is a capital offense." Elder Qingshuan's expression turned incomparably ugly, and his once menacing gaze finally landed on me. At first, he was filled with doubt, but then, as his eyes swept over me and slowly drifted downward, they fell upon the jade pendant clutched tightly in my hand. His entire body froze in place. The majestic eyes that once looked down upon all living beings were instantly filled with shock, joy, and infinite disbelief. The imperial dignity he carried shattered in an instant. Amidst the horrified stares of everyone present, this ruler of the Immortal Realm who stood high above all began to rush toward me. He ran, and then performed an act that left the entire Qinglan sect stunned as if turned to stone. He dropped to his knees with a thud, both knees hitting the ground, bowing his head to the earth in the most solemn display of respect. His voice trembled, laced with the sound of weeping. It rang out across the plaza, "Disciple Yunjing." The entire Qinglan sect plaza fell into a deathly silence. Everyone's eyes widened, their mouths agape, wide enough to swallow an entire fruit. It was as if they had just witnessed the most unbelievable sight in their entire lives. The color drained completely from Lu Tuiwan's face. His body swayed, on the verge of collapsing. Lu Ningcheng fell directly to the ground, her beautiful eyes overflowing with despair. The aged face of Elder Qingshuan shifted from deathly pale to a deep burning crimson. Their faces shifted from pale to a ghastly shade of green, a truly remarkable transformation. I looked at Yun Jing, who was kneeling before me, sobbing like a child despite how many years had passed. He was still such a crybaby. Yun Jing refused to stand, lifting his tear-streaked face to gaze up at me. "Master, I have been searching for you for 3 years. Why are you here? And why do you look like this?" He stared at the coarse, dirt-stained rags I was wearing, his heart clearly breaking at the sight. A terrifying imperial killing intent erupted from his body, engulfing the entire plaza. Qinglong's sect. Who is responsible for making my master end up like this? Yun Jing's voice was so frigid it felt as if it could freeze the very soul. Elder Qingshuan was so terrified that his spirit nearly left his body. He crawled and dragged himself across the ground to kneel before Yun Jing. "Your Majesty, please calm your anger. It is this old servant who was blind and failed to see the truth. This is all my fault." Lu Shuyuan and Lu Ningcheng were trembling like leaves in a storm. Unable to utter a single word, Yun Jing's gaze swept past them, eventually coming to a rest upon Lu Shuyuan. So it was you who was berating my master just a moment ago. Lu Xuan's entire body shook violently, his robes instantly soaked through and a pungent odor of urine filled the air. Disciple did not know, disciple deserves death 1,000 times over. Yunjing's eyes remained icy as he prepared to strike, but I spoke up to dismiss it. It is merely a misunderstanding. I am not a holy mother, but I do not care for petty grievances. Killing an ant brings me no satisfaction. I only wish to quickly find a place to continue my retirement. Upon hearing my words, the killing intent slowly receded from Yunjing, though it was clear he did not intend to let them off so easily. Yunjing coldly declared, death sentences may be spared, but you shall not escape punishment. Lu Shuyuan and Lu Ningchang are hereby stripped of their status as inner disciples. You are demoted to manual laborers. You shall travel to the northern extreme. For 5 years you are forbidden from returning to Thanhuan, your stipends will be forfeited for a century, and you are to remain in seclusion to reflect upon your transgressions. The expressions of the three individuals underwent a complete transformation. With just a single sentence from him, Lu Tuvian and Liang Gong turned deathly pale, fainting on the spot. Elder Thanhuan bowed repeatedly in gratitude, not daring to harbor even a shred of resentment. Having dealt with these people, Van Kan turned to me and said, Master, let us depart. This disciple shall escort you from the heavenly palace. I am not going. The heavenly palace is far too noisy. Then where does Master wish to go? Find me a place of scenic beauty and serenity, where no one will disturb my peace. Van Kan immediately understood my intent. He bowed respectfully and replied, this disciple obeys. Behind the Thon Lam sect there is a small courtyard within the bamboo forest. The spiritual energy is abundant and the environment is tranquil. I shall immediately command others to renovate it for you. I nodded, thinking it would suffice. I had assumed that with these troublesome individuals gone, my life of retirement could finally proceed on the right track. However, I had forgotten that in the Immortal Realm, Van Konk was not the only acquaintance I possessed. On the very third day after I moved into the bamboo forest villa, a surge of demonic energy descended without warning. The demonic aura over the Thainlam sect was tyrannical and ruthless, overflowing with a breath of destruction. The great sect-protecting array of the entire Thainlam sect trembled violently, as if it might shatter at any moment. Van Kan's expression shifted drastically. He immediately shielded me, crying, Master, be careful! The Demon Lord has arrived. No sooner had he finished speaking than a graceful figure clad in black robes with golden trim tore through the space and appeared before us. He wore a ferocious demon mask, his eyes filled with endless tyranny and madness. This was none other than Mo Uyan, the Demon Lord, whose very name caused the Immortal Realm to tremble. Mo Uyan's gaze swept over Van Kan with a hint of disdain, before finally resting upon me. Mo Uyan, how dare you be insolent toward my master? He advanced toward me step by step, the demonic energy surrounding him growing ever more potent. He walked before me and came to a halt. 3 years, master, you have finally returned. His voice carried a trace of trembling that was difficult to discern. Yunjing was stunned, and I was equally taken aback. Master, I looked at the Demon Lord before me, his aura brimming with killing intent, and in my mind an image from 300 years ago began to emerge. The little black snake I had rescued from the tribulation lightning, no larger than the palm of my hand, pitch black all over, always fond of coiling around my wrist to act spoiled. I looked at Mo Yuan, and tentatively asked a question. Little black, Mo Yuan's figure shook violently, his breathing becoming ragged beneath his mask, and he stripped off the demon mask. Beneath the mask was a face of extreme unparalleled beauty. It was merely pale, with a lingering aura of malevolence etched between his brows, and beneath the corner of his eye sat a tiny tear mole. It was indeed the transformed likeness of that little black snake, the appearance of the little creature who once used his head to nuzzle my palm. That soft voice that used to call me master, how did it turn into this? How did he become a demon lord who kills without blinking? Master, do you still remember me? The corners of Mo Yuan's eyes turned slightly red, his voice heavy with a sense of grievance. Why did you abandon me all alone? I was granting you your freedom. Freedom? What meaning does freedom hold in a world without you? I have searched for you for 300 years. I have turned the entire demon realm upside down. I killed everyone who stood in my way. I even thought you no longer wanted me. Yunjing stood by, listening in a daze, looking from me to Mo Yuan. The Tiandi sword in his hand was becoming difficult to hold. Ma Master, what is the meaning of this? He is the Demon Lord, and are you not living quite well now? You have already ascended to the position of Demon Lord. It is not well at all. This position is not good in the slightest, for no one dares to speak to me. I have missed you, Master. Mo Yuan spoke with the vulnerability of a child harboring deep grievances. As he spoke, he stepped forward, intending to embrace my arm as he had done in the past. Yunjing immediately shifted his body, shielding me from his approach. The Heavenly Emperor's sword pointed directly at Mo Yuan's throat, a cold, lethal warning. Stay away from my master. Mo Yuan's gaze turned icy, and his demonic aura surged, erupting instantly into the surroundings. Seeing these two titans of the immortal and demonic realms about to clash within my small, humble bamboo courtyard, I rubbed my temples in frustration. Stop this at once. My voice was not loud, yet both Yunjing and Mo Yuan froze as if struck by a silencing spell. The two glared at one another, neither willing to yield, and watching them left me utterly exhausted. Yunjing, he is someone from my past. Mo Yuan, you should temper your intensity as well. Do not frighten others with your presence. Yunjing retracted the Heavenly Emperor's sword with evident reluctance, though his eyes remained fixed on Mo Yuan with wary vigilance. The demonic energy radiating from Mo Yuan slowly receded. Master, tell him to keep his distance from me. I find the scent lingering on him utterly repulsive. He looked at me with an aggrieved expression, demanding to know who truly carried an offensive scent. In the end, under my forced mediation, the Heavenly Emperor of the Immortal Realm and the Demon Lord of the Demonic Realm were compelled to maintain a bizarre, fragile peace within the confines of my small bamboo dwelling. Every day, Yunjing would arrive under the pretense of paying his respects. He brought all manner of exotic treasures from the ancient immortal realm along with the finest immortal teas. Mo Yuan, refusing to be outdone, would tear through the void time and again to drop off piles of rare demonic ores and bizarrely shaped demonic beasts. It is said that my small bamboo courtyard was soon overflowing with the top-tier treasures of both realms, yet all I desired was the tranquility to cultivate my herbs. That day, as I was basking in the sun, Yunjing and Moyun were bickering thellensely over the trivial matter of whether I should drink immortal tea or demonic nectar today. Finding their endless squabbling unbearable, I stood up and wandered deep into the bamboo forest, seeking a moment of peace. Passing through a dense thicket of purple bamboo, I discovered a cavern concealed by a powerful formation. The formation was ancient and incredibly sophisticated, so subtle that even Yunjing had failed to detect it, yet at a single glance I discerned the method to undo it. With a few flickers of my fingers, I cast the techniques and the formation dissolved instantly at my touch. The interior of the cave held a hidden world of its own with a pool situated at its center. The water within the pool shimmered with the 7 colors of the rainbow. This is the rebirth pool. Legend has it that in the primordial era this pool was used to gestate innate deities. Beside the rebirth pool there stood a stone tablet. Engraved upon the tablet was a line of text. Upon seeing those words I was left utterly stunned. Fuye, by the time you see these words, I shall no longer be of this world. Please forgive my selfishness. I have placed the destiny of the entire immortal realm upon your shoulders. Immortal Venerable Xuanqian, the only friend I had before ascending, the very person who personally pushed me into the ascension passage, could not journey alongside me. That year he claimed his lifespan was at an end, allowing me to seek the path of eternal life alone. But what exactly did he mean by the words he left behind? What is meant by placing the destiny of the immortal realm upon my shoulders? Profound sense of unease surged within my heart. I reached out and touched the stone tablet. The very moment my fingertips brushed against the stone, it erupted with a brilliant dazzling radiance. Countless images and fragments of information flooded into my consciousness. I witnessed the past of the immortal realm and uncovered a scheme of heaven-shaking proportions. It turns out that the claim that immortals and demons could not coexist was a fabrication. All the so-called hatred dating back to the primordial era was nothing but a lie. The immortal realm and the demon realm originally shared the same origin, but no one knew when it began. The spiritual energy of the immortal realm started to thin, and manifestations of decline began to appear. To maintain the stability of the immortal realm, a group of ancient immortals led by Immortal Venerable Xuanqian devised a truly ruthless method. They established a colossal grand formation to forcibly siphon the primal source energy of the demon realm. This was done to replenish the consumption of the immortal realm. The depletion of the demon realm's essence caused its environment to deteriorate rapidly. Demonic energy became violent, causing the creatures dwelling within to become cruel and bloodthirsty. As it turns out, this was the true root cause of the war between immortals and demons. To conceal the truth, the people of the Xuanqian realm fabricated countless lies, casting all blame upon the demon race. They were described as innate demons. The only reason Xuanqian pushed me to the immortal realm was to fuel this grand formation that drains the world's essence. He needed someone possessing great fortune and heaven-defying cultivation to serve as the formation's core, replacing the one that was about to collapse. And I, Shen Fuye, was the perfect replacement he had chosen. The so-called aftermath of the great battle I encountered upon ascending was fundamentally a trap set by him. His purpose was to exhaust my cultivation, leaving me with no means to resist. Ultimately, I would be assimilated by the formation. He had plotted against me from the very beginning, and a surge of cold fury rose from the depths of my heart. I, Shen Fuye, cultivate only to enjoy a peaceful life in my twilight years, so who dares to block my path to tranquility? I will sever that person's lifeline first. When I stepped out of the cave, my expression remained calm, but all the traces of hesitation had vanished from my eyes. Yun Jing and Mo Yuan were still arguing, but they immediately surrounded me the moment I emerged. Master, where have you been? Master, your complexion does not look well. I looked at them. One a blinded heavenly emperor, the other a slandered demon lord. They were never meant to be enemies. I spoke, my voice strangely composed. Yan Jing, Mo Yuan, do you wish to know the true reality behind the endless struggle between the immortal and demon realms? Both were stunned. I led them directly into the cave. When they caught sight of the stone tablet beside the rebirth pool, I used the same method to allow them to read the information stored within the stone. The entire cave fell into a deathly silence. Yan Jing's face was etched with shock and anguish. He could not believe that the immortal realm he had protected for so long was built upon such filthy lies. The ancient immortal sages he had revered were nothing more than a group of sanctimonious thieves. Mo Yuan's entire body trembled. His blood-red eyes were filled with heaven-reaching hatred. His clansmen, his homeland, all the suffering they had endured turned out to be a gift from the immortal realm. Xuan, he gnashed his teeth as he spat out that name. Demonic energy surged frantically around him, nearly shattering the entire cave. I must kill him. I want the entire immortal realm to be buried alongside my people. Enough. I shouted in a cold voice cutting through his frenzied rage. Mo Yuan looked toward me, his eyes filled with a trace of confusion and hurt. Every debt has a debtor and every wrong has a perpetrator. The one who must be held accountable for this is Xuan Tian, along with those old monsters from that era, who participated in this grand formation. It has nothing to do with the ordinary immortals of the immortal realm. As for you, in your position as the heavenly emperor, it is your responsibility to quell this rebellion, restore purity, and seek justice for the demon realm. Yunjing's expression turned deathly pale. He closed his eyes in agony. Disciple, I walked to the side of the rebirth pool, gazing at the shimmering, translucent water within. It is time to return the primal essence to the demon realm. But master, once the grand formation is destroyed, the spiritual energy of the immortal realm will instantly dissipate. The laws of nature will collapse, and the entire immortal realm will be annihilated in an instant. It is the true source of the immortal realm's primal power. If we can repair it, the Immortal Realm will once again possess its own strength and no longer need to plunder from others. But to repair the rebirth pool, an immense amount of spiritual essence is required. Where are we to find such power now? I smiled, looking toward the horizon. The answer is right before our eyes. One heavenly emperor of the Immortal Realm, one demon sovereign of the Demon Realm, one representing the existing fortune of the Immortal Realm, the other representing the suppressed essence of the Demon Realm. As long as they work in unison, supplemented by a variable who is nearly sacrificed as the eye of the formation, that being me, the restoration of the rebirth pool is entirely possible. Our plan was executed in absolute secrecy. Using his status as the Heavenly Emperor, Yunjing began to investigate in the shadows. He targeted the stubborn old fogies who had participated in setting up the formation years ago. Meanwhile, Mo Yuan returned to the Demon Realm to consolidate his forces and pacify the restless demon clans, while simultaneously seeking methods to restore the Demon Realm's primal essence. As for me, I stood guard at the rear of the Chunqinglan sect, researching how to channel their combined power to repair the rebirth pool. The world seemed, but this was merely the calm before the great storm. The Zhuanqian Immortal Venerable, that mastermind lurking behind the veil, would surely have sensed it by now. As expected, trouble surfaced a month later. News arrived from Yunjing, stating that the trusted immortal lord he had dispatched to investigate had died a miserable death, his soul utterly extinguished. Simultaneously, the heavenly realm began to be deceived by a demonic creature of unknown origin, one that had colluded with the demon Venerable to conspire against the immortal realm, and that demonic creature was none other than me. Shen Fuye, the entire immortal realm was thrown into a state of panic, and countless ancient immortal clans and sects began to pressure the heavenly palace, demanding an explanation from Yunjing. Zhuanqian had finally made his move. He did not choose a direct confrontation, but instead employed the most despicable method, inciting public opinion, to isolate us. On that day, a multitude of people suddenly arrived at the gates of the Qinglan sect. They were all representatives of the major factions within the Immortal Realm, led by several elders whose presence was unfathomable. They claimed to be the elders of the Immortal Realm, demanding that the Qinglan sect surrender Shen Fuye. Elder Qingquan bore the immense pressure, blocking them outside the mountain gate while simultaneously sending someone to inform me. When I received the news, I was in the midst of channeling the final strand of spiritual energy into the Huasheng. The radiance of the pond was now far more brilliant than before. I stood up, brushed the dust from my hands, and instructed Elder Qingquan to let them enter. Shen, Senior Shen, they have great numbers and have clearly come with ill intent. I also wish to meet with these old friends of mine. The main plaza of the Qinglan sect was once again packed with people, only this time the atmosphere was far more tense and hostile. When the leading elders caught sight of me, a flicker of trepidation flashed through their eyes. A white-haired elder stepped forward. With a tone of righteous indignation, he berated me. You have colluded with the demon clan to bring chaos to the immortal realm. Why do you not surrender and submit to your fate immediately? I looked at him and recognized his identity. It was the supreme elder of the Chengxing immortal sect, one of the very men who had pursued me all those years ago. I did not deign to look at him, my gaze sweeping across all the immortals present instead, and I declared clearly, I know your purpose in coming here. The truth you so desperately seek I shall bring to light today. I turned my hand over, and a memory stone appeared in my palm. These are the images that I have painstakingly recovered. I channeled my immortal energy into the stone, and the memory stone immediately cast a beam of light. Upon the screen of light, the scene of the immortal realm stealing the origin of the demon realm began to play. As the entire process of Xuantian Shenzun's earth-shattering conspiracy unfolded, the truth was laid bare before everyone's eyes. The entire square erupted into chaos. The immortals who had gathered to seek judgment wore expressions of profound shock and bewilderment. The Grand Supreme Elder of Changshen Zong's expression changed drastically. These are all malicious slanders. This is undoubtedly a fabrication. Saying this, he launched a palm strike toward the light screen, intending to destroy the evidence. However, his arm suddenly froze in midair. A hand had clamped tightly onto his wrist. It was Yunjing. When had he appeared in the square without anyone noticing? Yunjing's voice was bone-chilling. A fabrication, you say? Then is this also a fabrication? As he spoke, he tossed another image projection stone into the air. Within it was the final recording transmitted by the trusted immortal lord before he succumbed to his wounds. It showed the Grand Supreme Elder of Changsheng Xianzong personally murdering that immortal lord while conversing with a shadowy figure, Lord Xuantian. With the evidence as immovable as a mountain, the face of the Chengsheng Xianzong Grand Supreme Elder turned ashen. He knew that everything had come to an end. The truth was revealed, and the people were filled with righteous indignation. The immortals, who had been deceived for countless years, collectively turned their wrath toward him and the powers standing behind him. In the name of the Heavenly Emperor, Yunjing issued an immediate decree at the plaza. He ordered the arrest of all the immortals involved in that conspiracy awaiting trial. A purge that would sweep across the entire immortal realm had officially begun. After settling these matters, I returned to the mountain cave in the back mountain. I knew that the real big fish had yet to take the bait. Xuantian Shenzun would certainly come. Sure enough, as soon as I stepped into the cave, a gentle voice resonated. Fuye, it has been a long time. From the deep shadows of the cave, a man stepped out, clad in white Taoist robes, possessing the refined appearance of an immortal master. His features were elegant, his temperament mild and gentle. He looked no different from an enlightened master detached from worldly affairs. It is you, Xuantian, so you have finally decided to show yourself? Xuantian smiled and walked to the side of the life transformation pond, observing the water as it gradually regained its vitality and remarked with praise, you truly live up to your reputation. To find this place so quickly and even restore it, it seems I did not misjudge you after all. Drop that hypocritical act of yours. You treated me as a formation core. You treated me as a tool to maintain the lies of the immortal realm. This debt, it is time we settle it once and for all. Fuye, why can you not understand my intentions? Everything I have done was for the sake of the Immortal Realm. If not for us plundering the origin of the Demon Realm, this Immortal Realm would have collapsed long ago. How can you then calmly go about stealing and pillaging? Calmly go about harming the innocent? To achieve greatness, one must not concern themselves with trifles. History remembers only the victor. As long as the Immortal Realm is preserved, what does it matter if the Demon Realm must be sacrificed? It is futile to argue. I have no desire to waste more words, and with that I gather my immense celestial power, thrusting it directly toward the center of Zhuanshan's brow. If you remain hopelessly deluded, then do not blame me. As these words fell, the entire cavern began to tremble violently. Countless dense runes manifested upon the cavern walls. These runes blazed with brilliant light, manifesting a massive cage that locked us firmly within. Simultaneously, a powerful suction force emanated from all directions, frantically drawing the celestial energy from within my body. This was a trap he had laid long ago. He intended to forcibly refine me into the array's eye. Zhuanshan laughed triumphantly. Your resistance is futile, Ye. This is a grand array I have spent 10,000 years preparing. Even if your cultivation is heaven-defying, do not dream of escaping this place. Obediently become a part of the Immortal Realm. I raised my head to look at him, a mocking smirk tugging at the corner of my lips. Did you truly think that I had made no preparations? Outside the cavern, an earth-shattering explosion suddenly roared, and a blade of black demonic energy, like a colossal axe meant to split the heavens, fiercely slashed through Zhuanshan's great soul-refining array. The figure of Moyan appeared at the cavern entrance, with the vast demon army behind him, as numerous as ants. On the other side, Yunjing also led the heavenly soldiers and generals, encircling the entire back mountain so tightly that not even a drop of water could pass through. Impossible, how could you have done this? Did you honestly believe that for the past month I was only focused on repairing the Huasheng mirror? I had long since connected the array here to Yunjing. By activating the Grand Formation, you are doing nothing but signaling your position to them. Xuantian's expression shifted instantly, becoming incredibly grim. He had calculated every variable, yet he failed to foresee that the Celestial Emperor and the Demon Lord would truly join forces for my sake. The Immortal Demonic Coalition, launching a joint campaign against Xuantian. Do you truly believe they would form an alliance? Solely for your sake? He let out a roar, frantically burning his immortal essence as he prepared to self-detonate. The destructive power of an immortal venerable's self-detonation is sufficient to raise everything within 10,000 miles of the Qinglang sect. It would even result in the annihilation of half the eastern region of the Immortal Realm. Yanjing and Mo Yuan moved in unison, desperate to intervene and save the situation, but they were repelled and flung backward by the barrier of energy. I looked at Xuantian, who was nearing madness, and let out a long sigh. I raised my hand, and a surge of power far more refined than Xuantian, and infinitely more vast, erupted from within my body. This was the true strength I had kept concealed for 300 years. I pursued cultivation for the sake of a peaceful retirement, not to see the cultivation path I walked reach such a peak. It is precisely because my power is so overwhelming, so immense that this world can barely contain it, that I have had to suppress it constantly in search of tranquility. A gentle white light radiated from around my body. Wherever this white light touched, the violent energy unleashed by Xuantian's self-detonation was pacified and vanished into the void. Xuantian's eyes widened in horror, staring blankly at me. How could you possibly possess such soul-shaking, terrifying power? These were the final words he uttered, leaving them behind for this mortal world before. His physical body crumbled into ash, vanishing completely. A calamity that threatened to shatter the Immortal Realm once more had been resolved by me as easily as lifting a feather. Outside the cave, everyone was left stunned into silence. Yunjing and Mo Yuan stared at me through the halo of white light, their gazes filled with profound complexity. Only now did they understand that the power they had always perceived in their master and lord likely did not even amount to 1/10,000th of my true strength. I retracted my power, and the cave returned to its tranquil state. I looked at them and smiled. Very well, the final nuisance has been resolved. Now I must return to my life.